Street. Petersburg is burning, and with it, the very perception of Russia's ability to defend its most important cities has been shattered. A city that has stood as the imperial capital of czars, the cultural heart of Russia, and the pride of modern power now finds itself scarred by flames that were never supposed to touch its streets. Ukraine's massive strike has pierced not just physical structures, but the very illusion of invulnerability Russia has tried to project. Hello everyone, welcome back to the World Conflict Monitor channel. Please subscribe to my channel and stay updated on the most crucial developments from the battlefields and power corridors shaping our world today. What unfolded in St. Petersburg is not just a military episode, it is a historical turning point that lays bare the contradictions of Russia's war effort, its defenses, and the resilience of Ukraine's strategy. At the heart of this story is a brutal paradox. Russia believed that by pushing its invasion of Ukraine, by investing billions into missile defense systems, and by portraying itself as an untouchable giant, its own cities would remain safe. Yet, as the strike unfolded, fire spread across vital infrastructure, flames danced over industrial zones, and citizens of Russia's second-largest city stared into a nightmare they had been assured could never happen. The summary of this crisis is simple but devastating. Ukraine has shown that no city in Russia is beyond its reach, no fortress is impregnable, and no leader, not even Vladimir Putin, can promise absolute security when the war comes home. From the exterior, the most visible images of this strike are chilling. The skyline of St. Petersburg, usually known for its imperial palaces, Baroque cathedrals, and modern high-rises, was marked instead by columns of black smoke rising above the Neva River. Warehouses, industrial facilities, and parts of the city's energy grid took direct hits, sending shockwaves not just through buildings but through the psyche of its people. The exterior tells the story of physical vulnerability. Shattered glass raining down in business districts, burned out shells of factories once churning out supplies for the war effort, and emergency vehicles racing helplessly against blazes too powerful to contain quickly. The images reveal more than destruction, they reveal that Ukraine has pierced deep into what Russia considers its sacred heartland. For the outside observer, these exterior wounds are proof that the war is no longer confined to Ukrainian soil but has entered the homes and daily lives of ordinary Russians. Inside, the impact is even more profound, though it cannot be captured fully by cameras. The interior of Russia's confidence, the internal morale of its people, and the psyche of its leadership have all taken a brutal blow. The Kremlin has worked tirelessly to control narratives, to convince Russians that their lives remain untouched, that the war is a distant struggle being fought far from their doorsteps. But now, as families in St. Petersburg huddle in fear, as smoke seeps into their apartments, and as whispers spread that even Moscow might not be safe, the interior foundations of Putin's control begin to crack. Ordinary citizens are confronted with the reality that war is not just propaganda, it is fire, fear, and fragility in their own backyards. When we examine the performance of this Ukrainian strike, it is impossible not to recognize the extraordinary tactical sophistication behind it. Ukraine has evolved from defending its skies against relentless Russian barrages to launching precision operations that bypass some of the world's most advanced air defense systems. The performance of this operation showcases planning, intelligence, timing, and the courage to strike at symbolic and strategic targets simultaneously. Unlike Russia's indiscriminate missile attacks on Ukrainian cities, which often destroy residential neighborhoods and kill civilians without tactical gain, Ukraine's performance here demonstrated calculated precision. It was not just about destruction, but about symbolism, deterrence, and forcing Russia to confront vulnerabilities it had ignored. This performance highlights how a smaller nation, with limited resources, can outmaneuver a military giant when strategy, technology, and determination combine. Safety features, or in this context Russia's defensive measures, were supposed to be the pride of its national security. The S-400 missile defense system, the layered shields around major cities, and the constant propaganda about impenetrable skies were meant to guarantee protection. Yet, when the strike came, these so-called safety features failed. Missiles slipped through gaps in radar coverage, drones evaded detection, and systems designed to intercept threats either misfired or remained too slow. The fire in St. Petersburg is not just the result of Ukraine's precision, it is the direct exposure of Russia's defensive weaknesses. A nation that has invested so heavily in projecting power abroad is now scrambling to reassure its own citizens that their lives are not at risk, even as evidence suggests otherwise. The failure of these safety features is more than technical, it is psychological. If St. Petersburg can burn, then where is safe? And if defenses can fail in a city so close to the Kremlin's power base, what does that say about the reliability of Russia's shield? The unique selling points of this Ukrainian operation lie in its boldness and its message. For Ukraine, this was not simply about hitting a target, it was about showing the world, and especially the Russian people, that the war is not a one-sided story. It was about proving that Ukraine can strike deep into the heart of Russia, reaching symbolic cities and undermining the aura of invulnerability Moscow has tried to project. Unlike Russia's strikes, which have often been labeled war crimes due to their indiscriminate targeting, Ukraine has marketed its operations as legitimate acts of self-defense, aimed at the infrastructure supporting the war effort. This gives Ukraine a moral high ground, a narrative advantage, and a demonstration of capability that rallies international support. The uniqueness of this strike is not just in its physical destruction but in its ability to reshape perceptions. Russia is not untouchable, and Ukraine is not powerless. The price, however, is paid by both sides, though in very different currencies. For Russia, the price is humiliation, shaken confidence, damaged infrastructure, and the erosion of public trust in Putin's ability to guarantee safety. For Ukraine, the price is the continued escalation of the conflict, the risk of harsher retaliation, and the burden of carrying out operations that could invite international criticism if missteps occur. Yet, strategically, Ukraine may see the price as worth paying. The strike has forced the world to acknowledge its capability, forced Russia to redeploy resources to defend its own territory, and forced Russian citizens to confront the reality of a war they might otherwise ignore. The price is measured not just in rubble, but in the shifting balance of psychological and strategic power. In conclusion, the burning of St. Petersburg is not just a tragic chapter of destruction but a pivotal moment in the larger war. It marks the collapse of Russia's aura of invincibility, the exposure of its defense systems, and the empowerment of Ukraine's narrative. It is a reminder that in modern conflict, strength is not only measured by the size of your army or the cost of your weapons, but by your ability to adapt, to strike symbolically, and to undermine the confidence of your opponent. The story of St. Petersburg's flames will be told not only as a tale of destruction but as a turning point where Ukraine showed the world that even giants can bleed, and even empires can burn.